This is from that priestess Celeste. She kind of resonated with me when I look at that Scorpion, Sagittarius, Pluto, nature. This one, for those who are in siblings, the first ones. Not the boys, but the girls or females. In Kabbalah, they say black sheep. You're not just facing a difficult parent, you are confronting the final boss of your ancestral line. Have you ever felt like this is where in your ancestral line this breaks? No more after me. The narcissistic spirit is not just personality disorder, it's an ancient hijacker of bloodlines. Connect the bloodlines point with what they say, wanna know your lineage, how much percent from your from here, European, American, Asian. I don't think so it's a bloodline thing. It's more like they are collecting our data of blood. Going back, ancient hijacker of bloodlines, a dark entity that slips into the cracks of unhealed lineage and wears the mask of family. Here you go. The eldest daughters aren't just breaking the cycles, we are confronting the source code of manipulation itself, not for revenge, not for approval, but for liberation. Because when a master empath is born into the home of a master narcissist, it's not by accident, it's a cosmic confrontation. Exorcism across timelines. You see through the lie, you name the pattern, you burn the contract, and in doing so, you end the karmic loop for every woman who came before you. Facing the final boss of the bloodline isn't rebellion, it's redemption. Soul contract closed. Okay, so that's her on Substack. Sacred Cinema Decoded is where film becomes oracle. Films don't just reflect culture, they condition, they initiate, and they reveal it. The space is for those who read between the frames. I wanted to share this movie today. I watched it. First, I read her Substack, then I watched this, resonated with me. So anyone in audience feeling alone or whatever you are feeling. It's a story about a father and his son and his daughter, and their mother died. And the daughter put her anger in her drawing, in her notebook. And those angry drawings, when that sketch diary fall into a specific pond, all stuff, because she has put her emotions into that, all things come alive. So this is the first one, the blue one. This she designed because his friend, classmate, bothers him. That's putting it a neutral way. Like he's a... When you will watch, you will know. Sketch is a quiet film, but it is not small. It tells a truth many families live inside without language. When grief enters a home, it doesn't distribute itself evenly. Someone always carries more, and more often than not, that someone is the daughter. This is not a story about art. If you see beyond the veil, if you decode disclosure in plain sight, if you feel the messages hidden in the media matrix, Sacred Cinema Decoded aren't entertainment reviews, they are disclosure decoded. She is a main character. You hold the blueprint of divine order. You are not here to obey the system. You are here to restore the sacred one. You are not meant to be understood by everyone. You are meant to be recognized by the right ones. How much of our life, we have wasted. My dear friends, please understand me. My dear family, just understand me. But that's not what we are supposed to do. The right ones are supposed to recognize you. That's her on threads. Power doesn't go quietly. It postures. It signals. It reaches for control even as the throne disappears. I really liked her one's lines that really resonated with me. Some souls incarnate into a fractured system because they carry the capacity to see through them, metabolize what others couldn't, and end cycles that would have otherwise repeated endlessly. Initiation isn't trauma. This initiation is what you want to do. So myth is memory. It's how truth survived before writing. So when there wasn't books, the databases, the writings, what was there? Humans store meaning through symbol. Third eye, a language that we have forgotten or made us to just forget about. Archetype, that I'm trying to understand. And story. Symbol, archetype, story. Myth was never entertainment. It was preservation. Myth doesn't save facts, it saves patterns. Again, the akasha point. It saves pattern. How life works, how power moves, how humans survive, love, destroy, and return. So it's a pattern. Don't forget we are talking about the triangle. Symbol, archetype, and story. In my Punjabi Urdu culture, there is a lot of stories, mostly Punjabi. We just take it literally. But when you start, analyzing it, the symbols, the archetypes, it's all there. And I guess the people who are living on countryside, villages, they are more. They're near nature. So I feel when I meet, because I have gone through that so-called education system, we are like पढ़े लिखे जाहल, educated, so-called educated. The story, the archetypes, the symbol, and then so this myth. That's why flood myths appear everywhere. The water. In our chakra, the water is our second lowest chakra, the sexual fluids. And by the way, now that we are talking about the water, so there are 4 sacred fluids of ours. The blood, our saliva, sexual fluids, and there's the 4th one, the CSF, the kundalini, the 3 days it resides. And then, have you ever realized when you get sick, there are certain parts of your body from where, it always starts? This is from Wise Awaken, and she's also on Threads and also on Instagram. Sex isn't casual in the spirit realm, and now I'm connecting it with one of the 4 sacred liquids, the sexual fluid. As Pakistanis, we are just, into too much physical stuff. Marry, sex, kids, and no else life matters. So that's the problem. What's happening in that we are obsessed. Sex isn't casual in the spirit realm. When 2 bodies connect, so will do it. So our timelines connect. Traumas, intentions, karma. So these 4 things also connect. It's not just physical body to another physical body. You're not just touching the skin. You are exchanging the spiritual data. And if the person is unaligned or if the person is chaotic, that energy becomes yours to clear. We're not scared of sex. We are selective because our bodies are portals. Yes, women's bodies are portals. It's not a playground. We have made it playground twice through this physical sex. Now coming back. So here, first myth, link the myth with symbol, archetype, story, how the life works, how the power moves, how humans survive in love, in destruction, and then the return. And then the water, the flood, in myth appears everywhere. Why serpents, the kundalini, the dragons are real, not dinosaurs, gods, underworld, and rebirth cycles repeat across the cultures. Memory doesn't survive as data. It survives as a form, as a symbol, as an embodiment. That's myth. Then this is her link tree. This is all free if you want it. Pluto code Scorpio, Pluto in Scorpio, 12 houses, the resurrection codes, Pluto in Scorpio. In 12 houses, you need to know in your natal chart, like in which house the Pluto is in. The resurrection codes, Pluto in Scorpio, Pluto out of bounds. High Priestess, Karma, Sharon, Wounds, 7 Sisters, Priestess Rising, which is feminine, Goddess, Star, Signs, Unbinding, the Lightworker, 2 doors, Mars in Scorpio. I'm just trying to understand it. A Chiron, High Priestess, Karma, symbol is intriguing for me. So Chiron or Sharon, core wounds. Every soul carries a fracture, but Priestess carries sacred wounds. Wounds tied to ancient lifetimes, past initiations, broken temples, destroyed mysteries, wars were carried out into this life. What is it? It shows the Chiron, the wound that shaped your destiny, the pain you incarnated to master, the gift that emerges once you stop running from it, the priestess archetype your soul chooses. The series reveals high priestess archetypes so you can understand why your path was hard, why your gifts feel ancient soul, why your triggers feel karmic, why your healing activates others. Knowing your Chiron or Chiron is knowing your spiritual origin story. So it's also available on her Instagram. But the point is, in my case, is it applies in generic as well as specific. How do they do that? So I am obsessed by truth. How much books, documentaries I have to read, watch, it's never enough. Like they always give you partial truth, but there are always layering of truth and lies. The way they say narrated in Abbas case in Islamic narration, like there are 7 layers too. In Quranic ayahs. So, priestess of truth, your wound is faith. I don't understand that. Your wound is faith. I think because I don't understand faith. F-A-T-E faith, then F-A-I-T-H faith, and then destiny. I still need to understand all of these. That helps. Your medicine is the philosophical freedom. Priestess of philosophical freedom. There is something that I have noticed. The truth and philosophical freedom or mystical freedom. You were exiled for your beliefs, silenced for your visions. You heal by becoming your own scripture. I always feel like my book of life is empty. And once I put my focus, my thoughts, my feeling, my action, everything on one thing, I always get it. Now that's another debate whether that thing, person is good for me or not, because life is all about experiences and good experiences are not enough. Bad are necessary too. That's how the growth occurs when you fail. And your path is the pilgrimage. And this pilgrimage took me, I was like, should I read the alchemist Paulo Coelho book again? And his pilgrimage book. So this is the story of Chiron. And what is she saying by the end? Your Chiron is an initiation point. Not everyone is meant to open this gate. This is the eldest daughter, the lie, the patron, the contract, the karmic loop. This is how it starts. So this movie, sketch, when a young girl's sketchbook falls into a strange pond, her drawings come to life. Chaotic, real, and on the loose. As the town descends into chaos, her family must reunite, brother, father, sister, and stop the monsters they never meant to unleash. So, father's sister, he's just blah, 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 blah. And the father and his son, they are always like that the eldest daughter the daughter has a problem. As a father, he thinks his daughter has a problem. And so she's trying, just shut up. Do you want to hear my 2 cents on all of this? I'm gonna tell you. I think you should stop worrying so much about a girl who's drawing pictures of her pain and worry a little more about the boys who are ignoring their pain. 2 siblings. He's also not dealing with his pain, but in his own way, he thinks he is responsible for it. So now, as the daughter has drawn those drawings, she feels bad and she's saying so his brother is consoling her. Stop saying that. That thing is you. It's not. And she's realizing, by the end, what's going on. It's just a thing you drew, sister. Okay, so this is Vihul. He likes her, but how do you call it? There's always someone in class, that kind. So the brother and sister are having a serious conversation, interrupting the conversation. Arrest the emerald sword. Will you shut up about the sword, please? I will not. I'm very right about this. Here you go, father. This whole time, I thought we had to fix Amber. Now he's talking to his son. Amber is here. But Amber was the only one doing what we are supposed to be doing. Not running from the pain. Not covering it up. Don't cover your pain, but feeling the pain. Now he's talking to his son. I let you down, man, the son. I never gave us time to hurt. Now he's remembering the time when their whole family was at the dining table. Because you are you. He never said it out loud, the father. But now he's saying, he finally got to know where he was going wrong. Suppression is not the answer. Expression is the answer. You are you, my son. You are thoughtful. And because you are compassionate, you felt the need to fix it. He's trying to bring her mom's ashes to that pond so she revives back, come back to her life. He thinks his sister Amber is that way because mother is not there. That's not your responsibility, my son. All you needed to do was. And then he's saying, I'm sorry, Dad. And he's saying, I know. I love you, buddy. And that's a butterfly. It's a joke. So her mother fixed that drawing of butt to a butterfly. So by the end, when all are seeing through their pain, done with suppressing themselves, that's the nutshell. Now, linking to this, let's go back to her Substack. Sketch, grief held in the body, creativity as an alchemy. Alchemy was never about the physical stuff, turning the lead into a gold in a specific season. No, it was this inside us. That's alchemy. And the daughter who carries the family until it can heal. Sacred cinema decoded. Your soul picked this movie. Sketch is a quiet film, but it is not small. It tells a truth many families live inside without a language. When grief enters a home, it doesn't distribute itself evenly. Someone always carries more. And more often than not, that someone is the daughter. This is not a story about an art. It is a story about containment. Who holds the pain when no one else can, and what it costs. I really like the pictures she posted here. That's their aunt, father, Amber, and younger brother. Grief that has nowhere to go. In Sketch, grief is not processed through conversation or ritual. It lingers unspoken, somewhere expressed, thick in the air, embedded in the walls of the home. The loss fractures the family, not in a dramatic ways. It fractures them through silence, avoidance, and emotional paralysis. The father and son do not collapse, they freeze, their grief turns inward, unresolved, inaccessible. This is not cruelty, this is incapacity. Where are they running from? The film understands the distinction and does not rush to condemn. But grief that is not expressed does not disappear. It relocates. That's one of her drawings. So, daughter as emotional vessel. The daughter becomes the one who feels the family pain. Not because she is stronger, but she is more permeable. She senses what can't be spoken. She absorbs what has no outlet. Her nervous system becomes the container for everyone else's unprocessed loss. This is a deeply familiar pattern. Again, pattern, akasha. Daughters often become emotional translators, holding spaces adults cannot assess. They learn early how to metabolize pain quietly, creatively, alone. Sketch doesn't frame this as a gift, it frames it as a responsibility that is never consented to. The first drawing that appears after their school jail bus. Creativity as survival. Creativity not as an expression. The daughter's art is not performative. It is not therapy. It is not self-expression for an audience. It is survival. Survival mode. She's suppressing her anger into and expressing it into her drawing. Drawing becomes the place where the grief can go without destroying her. Creativity becomes a liminal space, a psychic buffer between what is too heavy to feel directly and what must be released somehow. Creativity as alchemy. This is creativity as alchemy. She doesn't fix the pain, she transforms it just enough to keep the family intact. Another of her drawing, the 3 bus fellows. The family system protected by the feminine. One of the film's most honest revelations is that the daughter creativity stabilized the household. Without her drawings, the grief would rupture outward. Through anger, withdrawal, collapse. Her internal processing protects brother from having to confront their own pain too soon. This is not empowerment. This is unpaid emotional labor. How many of us, sisters, mothers, daughters, wives, are doing that? The film never glorifies this role. It simply shows it with tenderness and quiet gravity. Bus fellows, the first drawing that appear outside the bus. The cost of being the holder. Holding grief delays healing. As long as one person contains the pain, others are spared the need to transform. This is the paradox sketch navigates so carefully. The daughter's creativity keeps the family functioning, but is also postponing the collective reckoning. She becomes the bridge, and bridges are walked on. This is the shadow side of the feminine transmutation. The cost is invisibility, exhaustion, a grief that doesn't fully belong to her. So this aunt was denying, like, it can just not happen, those drawings coming alive. But then that happened and she's like, wow. When the masculine finally enters the grief, the turning point of the film is not dramatic release, but shared present. Father and brother do not suddenly articulate everything. They begin to feel it together. The masculine finally steps into the grief space the daughter had been holding a long time. This is the moment the system rebalances. Healing doesn't arrive through explanation. It arrives through participation. Once grief is shared, it no longer needs a single vessel. Another of her drawing, creativity returns to its rightful place. Only when the family begins healing together does the daughter's creativity shift. It no longer exists solely to absorb the pain. It becomes lighter, clear, less burdened with responsibility. A crucial distinction. Creativity is meant to be generative, not sacrificial. When it is forced into containment, it becomes a coping mechanism rather than a source of joy. The film honors the moment creativity is released back to the child, no longer tasked with holding the family together. Another of her drawing. The real disclosure of the sketch movie is that it reveals something many families never name. Children often become the emotional infrastructure when adults can't bear their own grief. Story of everyone's home that I have been into. This is not because children are resilient, but because they are attuned. The film doesn't blame the father or a brother. It doesn't romanticize the daughter either. It is simply telling the truth. Grief must be shared or it will choose a host. Sketch is a meditation on love, loss, and the quiet heroism of children who carry too much. It reminds us that healing does not come from one person transmuting the pain for everyone else. It comes when grief is allowed to be collective. When burden is shared, daughter can return to being a child. When the family enters the pain together, creativity becomes play again. This is a sacred cinema where the smallest stories tell the deepest truth.